I've been a pro wrestling fan for decades, but watching WWE nowadays, I can't help but notice that professional wrestling just doesn't look as impressive as it did in the past. I did a bit of investigation and it confirmed my suspicions. Take a look at the entrance of Evolution, one of the most popular factions in the mid-2000s. You'll notice that Ric Flair looks short and less physically imposing compared to his teammates, Randy Orton, Triple H, and Batista. Now, I never thought of Ric Flair as a particularly big guy, so imagine my surprise when I found out that standing in at 6 feet tall, he would be one of the bigger guys compared to today's WWE roster. Here's a selection of the estimated height and weight of a number of popular wrestlers from the 90s to the early 2010s. I tried to avoid build statistics, which are often exaggerated.
Texas, the toughest SOB to ever lace boots in the WWF. He is the people's champion. What an amazing young superstar.
Spin-a-rooney! 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 This type of things. So the match is underway.
WWE, this match will host to join Shawn Michaels, Christian.
Look at this. And hey! Orton turned to his feet and another steel chair. Choke slam onto the roof.
Player of the game, and look at that.
JR, no doubt about it. And he's such an ass.
From Stamboli.
I gotta agree. It's one
Andy Orton and the chairman of WWE, Mr. McMahon's WWE NXT program. 1 minute. Wade Barrett taking Cena to the limit.
Now compare these guys to main event wrestlers now, and you'll notice an obvious difference. Sure, there are guys taller and shorter than these, but the point is on average, there has definitely been a steady shift to shorter and smaller wrestlers, and a focus on agility and relatability rather than pure physical impressiveness.
The leg that Rollins injured last.
Do you think Adam Cole's a little nervous coming into?
Oh, caught his arm, courting hold.
Here tonight, and now the Scottish cycle. The numbers game catching up to Finn Balor now and McIntyre.
And Angel Garza now. Angel wing clipper by Angel Garza.
Oh my God, from behind. John, this.
And watch what's happening here. In native countries to make a splash on the independent scene internationally.
Now, I think it's a misconception to say that big guys can't move because no one ever accused the electrifying Rock or even Moose for not being agile. And this is not to take away from the talent of the current roster, but pro wrestling's appeal has always been about showmanship and excess. And admit it or not, people watch it to be marveled by men with incredible physiques. It's almost impossible to replicate that wow factor with smaller guys, some of whom don't even look bigger than audience members. When I see Randy Orton wrestle now, he towers over almost anyone younger than him. And honestly, that's a bit scary because it shows that pro wrestling has swung so far towards pushing smaller guys that it has lost diversity in its roster. Orton represents the last of a generation, and one day he will retire, and unfortunately I don't think the WWE has groomed a full package with massive physical appeal as well as excellent athleticism and agility to follow in his footsteps. The WWE does have bigger guys, but they tend to be bruiser types that aren't the faces that can grace billboards and have a movie star quality about them. This will create a big hole in the roster and appeal of professional wrestling. The sad fact is that there are a lot of guys doing NXT and live shows for the WWE who could become the next Randy Orton, but for reasons unknown, the WWE does not push them. For example, remember all the hype for the muscular Dan Matha? His hype fizzled when he was humiliated on his debut television match, and then forced to only do live shows.
No, he is not. He's assaulting Dan Matha. Remember what he told Regal? Oh my God.
Other guys like Chris Atkins definitely had the look and stature, but came and went.
Choices!
Oh no, look out.
Oh!
Currently there's Brendan Vink, a towering Australian with great potential, but only time will tell if WWE also sees his potential. Unfortunately, WWE laid off a lot of wrestlers in its roster in April 2020. The biggest loss, in my opinion, is Tino Sabbatelli. He was my pick for someone with the full package who could be the next megastar. When this ex-football player makes his entrance, there's not a soul in the stadium who can deny his incredible physical presence, handsome looks, and overall athleticism. He's the kind of guy you can see on the silver screen. If the WWE had recognized his talent and X Factor and turned him into a face, I think he could have been unstoppable. I hope all wrestling promotions see the value, not just in its smaller, super agile wrestlers, but also in the more physically impressive guys. That was the reason why pro wrestling became so popular in the first place.
You know what, I can talk junk all I want to about Tino and